Speaking of Ron DeSantis and his culture wars, Washington Post columnist wants sports teams, to end spring training in Florida in protest of the governor, almost the same way things happened with the All-Star game, if you remember. Kevin Blackstone writes, baseball can no longer ignore Ron DeSantis' culture wars. 15 franchises that started spring training last month in Florida should consider making the annual exercise an all-Cactus League affair as long as DeSantis commands an attack on diversity. That means move everything to Arizona. The article cites proposals to ban funding for diversity programs and efforts to roll back college gender studies in Florida. George Wills here, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, NewsNation senior political contributor, and without question, the world's biggest baseball fan. Boy, I guess they're trying everything to go after Ron DeSantis.
You know, some of us read the sports pages, read them first in order to get away from politics. But nowadays, politics saturates everything, which is why we try to read the sports pages first. You know, Arizona, to which this gentleman on the Post wants to move 15 teams from Florida, Arizona came within a very few votes of electing Kerry Lake, who is, to say no more, quite conservative, and would have this man. What are we going to do? Find a place now for 30 major league teams next spring?
I'm sure you'd be happy with California.
Temporarily. Something in California will be offensive. It is important, surely, that we learn to separate politics from our judgments about the entire rest of life.
Yeah, if you were just in terms of talking about baseball, the backlash and sort of the absurdity that happened after moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta seemed to probably those lessons have not been learned. This comes down, though, to sort of showing how Ron DeSantis is occupying an enormous space in the left. And what I'm wondering is that because they view him as more of a threat than Donald Trump, or simply that he's doing things that are more offensive because he is in government at the time?
I think the fact that he is intelligent and well-funded, he has raised something like $100 million already, has them wary of him. He, however, is making what I think is a mistake. He is campaigning in a way that is certain to please the Republican nominating electorate. It's an old problem in American politics. You have to get nominated. You can't steal first base. But once you get nominated by appealing to the nominating electorate, which in the Republican Party is well to the right of the center, and in the Democratic Party well to the left of center, then you have to pivot and get back. And the more he does this, the more Mr. DeSantis is, I think, storing up trouble in the future. Should he get elected, he's going to have to pivot in a way that's going to give you a crick in the neck.
I was going with whiplash. Donald Trump seems to think he is the main challenger. Ron Dukakis is the latest Trump nickname proposal, talking about Michael Dukakis, obviously the failed presidential candidate. Real Clear Politics headline tear, Trump campaign, this written by our friend Phil Wegman, an excellent reporter. Trump campaign, DeSantis staff need not apply, and said that anyone who works for Ron DeSantis will not work for the Trump campaign if he is the nominee, and will not have an opportunity to work in the White House, as a lot of staffers from other failed campaigns tend to do in a new administration. It's a threat. I keep coming back to this issue about DeSantis. You say he's campaigning in a way that only appeals to the Republican nominating electorate. Is it starting to have some echoes of Scott Walker or some other front runners in that sense?
Well, we've seen a lot of front runners going all the way back to 1972, when Senator Edmund Muskie of Maine was considered the shoo-in for the Democratic nomination. George McGovern, who was nominated 6 months later, was at 3% in the polls. This is a much more volatile electorate than people think. And while Mr. DeSantis is throwing red meat to the carnivorous Republican electorate, nominating electorate, it remains to be seen whether or not the American people are in a mood for this kind of constant, rolling boil political warfare. I tend to think, I may be wrong, but I tend to think the American people are not angry. They're exhausted and embarrassed and would like a little tranquility, and they're not going to get it from someone who every day is on a rampage against the woke, much though, in my judgment, they deserve it.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.